Birds. These amazing creatures are incredibly diverse. Some are brightly colored with intricate patterns, while others have colors like browns and tans that help them blend into their surroundings. These colored patterns can be used to communicate with other birds, or they can be used as a means to communicate through sound. There are birds that fly through the air so quietly, even the most alert can't hear them. And some don't fly in the air at all, but glide effortlessly through the water. They live and thrive in some of the coldest and hottest places on Earth. Common among all are feathers, which play a big role in birds' success on Earth. Wait, you don't have feathers. Let's learn about them. So feathers help birds to live in such cold and hot places, while also giving them the ability to fly and swim. And this must mean feathers are pretty special to be able to do all of that. Well, they are, and it comes down to very small structures that make up the feather. Feathers can be broken down into two main types, down and contour. Let's learn about down feathers first. We'll start by learning the names of some of the structures that make up the feather. Probably the first one you notice is the rachis, which provides rigidity within this feather. It is also the place that the barbs attach to. A closer look at the barb, we see even smaller structures called barbules. The barb almost looks like a feather itself. If we look closer at the barbule, we can see bumps. And each one of those bumps are called nodes. In many birds, this is where pigment is located, giving the bird a color. So now that we've learned a bit about down feathers, let's take a look at them for ourselves using the Foldscope. While you're looking at them, think about what they might be used for by the bird. Are they fluffy? Are they hard? What about them clues us in to what they might be used for? Here's Rain Talosig, a scientist in the Patterson lab, to show us how to use the Foldscopes.
In your kit for this experiment, we've included a Foldscope, which will be your own personal microscope for this at-home lab. There is also an LED pack. Please make sure to pull out the back tab on the battery pack to turn it on. And the LED will connect by a magnet to your Foldscope to light up your sample for better visualization. Also included are two different sets of slides. Here we have the glass slides and the paper slide kit, which will include everything you need to mount your sample. In addition to those two slides, we also have the holographic slides if you want to try those out. To prepare your slides, we've included a set of tools to assist you. Here we have the Eppendorf tubes, pipettes, a set of tweezers to pick up and place your samples, and a small Q-tip included to also place your samples. Included is also this biology field guide with cartoon representations of some things that you can take a closer look at. We've included a set of two feathers in your kit to take a closer look at. A down feather and a contour feather. Let's go to the Foldscope and inspect the properties of these feathers. To prepare your feather slide, you will need your down feather, your contour feather, a glass slide or paper slide, clear tape, and a pair of scissors to cut your feathers. First, I will prepare the down feather. You're going to cut off a piece of the down feather and a few of the barbs towards the top. To prepare the contour feather, we are going to cut off a piece of the top feathers that look a little bit different than the down feathers. You can try to cut more towards the top of the feather. Now that you have both of your feathers cut, we are going to prepare them on the glass slide. Use your tweezers to pick up the contour feathers. You can pick up as many of them as you would like, but make sure not to crowd the slide, and place them on the glass slide. After you're finished placing your contour feather, pick up one barb of the down feather and place it right next to the other feather on the glass slide. Make sure not to put it on top. Next, you'll take your piece of clear tape and place it over the feathers, making sure to smooth it down so that there are no air bubbles. This will help you get a clearer image and a better picture of those feathers. Now we're done preparing the slide. Let's go to the Foldscope. To load your Foldscope, we are going to take our prepared feather slide and we're going to flip the Foldscope over so that we can see the back panel and open that panel. Take the slide with your feathers on it and flip it so the tape side is down and it's toward the Foldscope, and slide it into the slot. Make sure to center it over the lens. After it's loaded, close the slide up and flip the sample over. Take your LED light pack with the battery tab pulled out and attach it onto the back part of the Foldscope where we've just closed the sample in.
So, now that you've gotten a chance to take a look at the down feathers under the microscope, what do you think they might be used for by the bird? They don't seem to have much structure, but they are fluffy and soft. Also, another clue to what down feathers are used for is that they're usually very close to the bird's body. So what do you think? Take a minute to think about it. Hopefully, you came up with some great ideas. The main purpose of down feathers is to help keep birds warm in cold temperatures. But how do they do this? Well, if you hold up a down feather and you blow air at it, it moves pretty easily. How would this keep you warm? Feels like the wind would just blow through and chill the bird. Well, it's because these feathers layer on top of one another, helping to shield the bird from the wind. But more importantly, they create air pockets. And the air that's in these pockets doesn't move very easily. It doesn't come in or out. So it stays the temperature of the bird, which insulates the bird from the cold air outside. Down feathers are so good at keeping heat that we humans make some of the warmest and lightest jackets around using down feathers. So we could go to the coldest places like Barbara Hillary visiting the South Pole. Contour feathers are the next category of feathers, which include many different types of feathers, like flight feathers and tail feathers. So looking at the contour feather, once again, we have a rachis, which provides some rigidity and is the attachment point of the barbs. Instead of getting a closer look at the contour feather's barbs, I want to show you something. If you pick up a contour feather and you try to pull the barbs away from each other, they resist this. But a little more pulling and they separate. But even cooler is if you realign them by rubbing them lightly between your fingers, they stick back together. Why do you think they stick together like this? Why do you think it'd be useful for the barbs to re-stick to each other after being separated? So, knowing that contour feathers are more rigid, they constitute flight feathers and tail feathers, I want you to take a moment to think why these small little barbs stick to one another. Have you ever seen a bird preening like this flamingo? Well, they're not just cleaning themselves, but also realigning their contour feathers to get the barbs to stick together. So why is this important? I hope you had some good time to think about it. Well, in a contour feather, the rhachis only provides some of the rigidity needed. But for flight, a whole lot more is needed. So the feather makes itself more rigid by making all these barbs stick together. And then contour feathers are layered on top of one another, giving it even more structure to lift the weight of the bird in the air. So here's a closer look at two barbs from a contour feather. You can see that they're stuck together and they're starting to be pulled apart. Do you notice that there's even smaller structures attached to the barb? So you really can't make them out totally right now, but what do you think they might look like? Do you think they look like the barbules on a down feather? Or maybe something else? I'll leave this for you to explore and discover on your own using the Foldscope in your kit. There's so much more to learn about feathers and birds. And if you're interested in learning more, one of the best resources there are is the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. So stop on over there, take a look through their vast archives. If you're interested in our own research here at UC Irvine, a great resource is the Center for Complex and Active Materials, where we study the smallest things and learn how they make a big difference on a larger scale. A lot like these feathers that we just explored.